As the Bolsheviks swept through Russia, the imperial family was cast from power. Nicholas II, his wife Alexandra and their 5 children, including heir Alexei, were imprisoned in Ekaterinburg. But among those loyal to the crown, one name stands out: Andrei Derevenko, a sailor who had once carried Alexei on his shoulders. Was he there in the Ipatiev house, and if so, could he have helped Alexei escape? Derevenko wasn't just a guard, he was family. Loyal beyond duty, he carried the sickly boy when he couldn't walk, protected him, comforted him. When the revolution came, what if he didn't turn his back? Mainstream accounts say Derevenko was no longer there, but what if he was? One figure in the background of photographs taken at the Ipatiev house resembles him. Could it be the sailor? Was he there to protect the boy? Were the mainstream accounts wrong? Derevenko had been with Alexei since childhood. Through every fall, every crisis, he had sworn to protect him. When the imperial family was exiled, many abandoned them. But had Derevenko remained? "Stay strong, Your Highness. I won't let anything happen to you. They're coming soon. We don't have much time." He knew the end was near. The guards spoke in hushed voices. The tension in the air was thick. If he acted, it had to be now. What if, on that fateful night, Derevenko had made a different choice? What if he had risked everything to smuggle Alexei out before it was too late? Where would they have gone? Somewhere safe, perhaps, just a little further. Through bribery, deception and sheer determination, Derevenko could have led Alexei past the guards, through a back entrance, into the frozen Russian night. Official history tells us the entire Romanov family was executed that night. But 2 bodies were missing, Alexei and one of his sisters. In 2007, more remains were found, but doubts quickly emerged. Forensic inconsistencies surfaced. Ages that didn't match, bone damage inconsistent with the execution story, and missing teeth that contradicted known dental records. We ran DNA tests and were surprised by inconsistencies in samples assumed to be from the Romanovs. Some simply didn't align. We questioned whether these were the correct remains at all. The Russian Orthodox Church refused to officially recognize the remains as the Romanovs, demanding further evidence. 11 people were supposedly executed, yet only 9 sets of remains were found in 1991. Where were Alexei and one of the daughters? It's strange. The Soviet government hid the grave for decades, then claimed they didn't know where the rest were. But they found the other 2 70 meters away, almost as if they were planted later. The scientists claimed the bones matched the imperial family, but the testing process was riddled with secrecy, political influence and controversy. Some of the samples were too degraded to confirm identity. Others were tested under the supervision of the same state that needed a convenient ending. Even the Russian Orthodox Church refused to accept the findings without independent verification more than 100 years later. Eyewitnesses gave conflicting accounts. Some said the bodies were doused in acid, others said they were burned or buried twice. It was all over the place. Some said the bodies were mutilated beyond recognition. Others said they looked staged. Forensic teams noted age and size discrepancies. One female skeleton was estimated around 20. None of the daughters were that old. Alexei's supposed bones didn't match his known height. When the missing remains were announced in 2007, many suspected it was a staged discovery to close the case amid growing scrutiny. Tsar Nicholas was reportedly struck in the head with a sword in Japan during an assassination attempt, but no such wound appears in the skull said to be his. Why? The theory goes, Alexei, aided by Derevenko, escaped to Canada and later to a small American town. He never revealed his identity, not for fame, but for survival. If the Romanovs were always under watch, how could jewel-lined garments have gone unnoticed? Clothes supposedly hidden to protect their lives in the final moments. Their belongings were searched. If these garments were missed, were the guards really incompetent, or was the story fabricated? Eyewitness reports conflict. Official records say Derevenko was dismissed and absent, but if that's the case, why do multiple visual documents suggest otherwise? Was this a cover-up, a photographic clue the regime overlooked, or a deliberate insertion in a maze of disinformation? Today, most people accept the Romanov story as settled fact. But why? Because it's easier. Because challenging the mainstream narrative risks being labelled a conspiracy theorist. But many proven conspiracies were once ridiculed too. The Romanov case is full of holes, contradicting witnesses, questionable remains, state-run DNA tests. Why aren't we asking more questions? Today, most people accept the mainstream Romanov story as settled fact. It's repeated in textbooks, dramatized in documentaries, and taught without hesitation. But why? Because it's easier. Because once a narrative is declared official, few dare to challenge it. Questioning it makes you seem like a conspiracy theorist, until you realize that many so-called conspiracies have turned out to be true. But what if the truth came out now? That Alexei Romanov and one of his sisters survived? That the execution was staged? And the bones were planted or misidentified? The impact would be seismic. First, it would dismantle one of the foundational myths of the Soviet state, an origin story built on the blood of the last Tsar. Putin, who has used imperial nostalgia to bolster his own power, would face a blow to his historical legitimacy. Russia has invested decades in controlling the Romanov legacy, using it to craft a selective image of patriotism, strength, and historical continuity. If that story falls apart, so does a pillar of Putin's carefully engineered national identity. Thanks for watching. If you're hungry for more untold stories and hidden truths, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned because history is just getting started.